Hello everybody to our first Sustainability Hackbox video. Stefan and I are working with customers on sustainability solutions for more than a year.
And today we're happy to share a real-world customer use case from Automotive around emissions reporting and energy performance management with you guys.
Great. And the agenda we prepared is really about explaining the customer sustainability challenge,
the sustainability hack approach.
Then, of course, we spend a lot of time on the demo that we have built with the customer around the sustainability manager and the customization we did around data import, GRR emission reporting, Scope 2 emissions, plus energy reporting and energy target and performance management.
And last but not least, we're also looking at team collaboration on sustainability data. So how to share reports in Teams channels, how to chat on related reports, how to do data entry in private Teams channels. So Alex, tell me, what was the core challenge around sustainability reporting of the customer?
Sure. So our customers is in the automotive business, and they already have published their sustainability reporting publicly, so you can download it from the homepage. And as many companies, they have done a pledge to become CO2 neutral by 2030, driving for a carbon-free world. So one of the first things you have to do is to understand your data and your baseline. And if you look at the sustainability report, you can see that they are focusing on Scope 1, 2 emissions. So this is really what they report out, and you can see what is the current footprint in metric tons. What they also identified is that the main driver in Scope 1, 2 emissions is really Scope 2 energy. And so they put a lot of focus on energy management. And so they focus on the energy that they basically consume, and also what is the percentage of the energy that they have renewable. So basically, if you want to reduce your footprint, you can do two things. You can reduce the overall energy consumption, or you could increase the percentage of renewable. On top, it's always difficult to compare then different units. Therefore, they introduced the energy intensity. So they basically calculated how much energy footprint they have compared to the revenue. So that's the energy intensity. And as you can see, they also have started to set their first target. So they have to reduce the energy intensity by more than 2% annually to reach the 2030 goal. And this is really going down then also into the GRI or SUSPEN reporting. So they put out the specific energy accounting metrics. As you can see, over the last 3 years, they already have reduced energy. They have started with renewables last year, and you can see also the intensity was already going down. This has, of course, a contribution then to the emission metrics, and you can see that basically those metrics also decreased already. Plus, you can see the correlation to the revenue of the company, which brings you the metric tons per revenue. So first thing is, how have they brought this data together? So it's quite a manual work. They had to build an own solution just to collect the data, but it's very manual. Next point is where they really want to drive accountability is how do they bring the data together for the whole group. So Contoso is a big automotive group. They have 9 subdivisions, and each division has their own business model, their own also processes and how they work together. And for example, fuel cells is already at 50% here renewable, so they are ahead, but others are perhaps only at 10%. And that's the big challenge. So if you look in the report, you only see the overall number for the whole Consoso group. But how can you break down the numbers now by organizations so that you also can bring down accountability, and you can really say, okay, what is fuel cells doing good? What is Contoso Electronics still have to catch up? Or what is the overall impact? So also this kind of greenwashing problem that if you have a nice story about fuel cells, but it's only the overall footprint perhaps is only 1% of the company, it's perhaps only a good start and it's not really a big impact yet. Yeah, and I think this to make this tangible it was the big ask from the customer. So Stefan, can you tell us a little bit about how we address that with the hack approach?
So our approach was really to prove tangible use cases in just 3 weeks. So first of all, the question was, can we easily import the existing org structure of the customer and also the sustainability data? Next challenge was around replacing the existing sustainability reporting. And finally, we were asking ourselves, can we drive energy accountability for group leaders by setting targets and introducing performance management?
Great. And I think this is really then also the evolution. So on one side, can we basically start easy and add value by driving not only reporting, which is backwards looking, right, but really driving accountability forwards looking, that you can set SBTI targets, that you can have owners of the goals, and then really start with performance management. So let us jump into the demo.
Super.
When you start the Microsoft Sustainability Manager as a platform, you typically see the home screen. And what you can see here is a dashboard that is showing you an overview about your emissions. And if I go here, let's make it a little bit bigger, you can already see that we have loaded the org structure of the customer. You can see we can add the years of the emissions. So they get a quite good overview. They also have the revenue intensity in there. But we just basically want to focus now on the current year because they want to get out of reporting into performance management. And what you also can see is that we have a first drill down, which we don't have in a typical reporting, that you can drill down here by country. You can easily see that USA is the biggest contributor. You can see it by organizational unit. But you also can go even deeper and can see it by facilities. And so you can easily figure out here, what are the facilities, perhaps also with the biggest footprint. And I think this is all based already on data that we have loaded. So we loaded emission data and we all loaded the import structure from the whole organization. So Stefan, how difficult is it basically to get this data into the Sustainability Manager if you start from the scratch?
It is actually super easy. So I can quickly guide you through how we did that and what the platform is offering here. So let's look at one example, how to import metadata around facilities. So actually what you see here in this visual, that is pretty straightforward. So you change your view to settings actually, and you select reference data, and you see a nice list of all the reference data that got loaded already. So we pick facilities, click on view. Let me collapse that to give that a bit more room. Actually, what you can do is export the data as a template. So you go here, click on export. You get it exported into an Excel format, and you just open that up. So here's the template. Actually, you see there's data inside already, the data that we got loaded, but you can easily add a new facility by adding a line here, fill up the metadata, save the whole thing. So in order to import the template back into the platform, you go to the import from Excel button, click it, you select your file. Here you go. That's the one that I just downloaded and where I've added an additional line. Click on open and you click on next. Confirm the basic settings, and then you can even review the mappings here by clicking on this link here. Then you see like all of the columns from the spreadsheet, how they are mapping to the fields, the platform. So if you're good with that, you just click finish import and the data gets backloaded to your system. Of course, you can track your imports, your recent imports, and make sure that everything got loaded correctly. So for that, you just go to data, There's a quick link called My Data Imports that is listing up all of your recent imports. You can select one and just have a look on failure, success, partial failure, all the date stamps. And with that, you can verify the correctness and completeness of your recent imports.
Great. So I think this looks really easy, and I think that's perhaps for starters. I think there are a lot of more methods for advanced users, but also for IT, right? But I think this is how any kind of Excel-based user can start from the scratch quite easily.
Of course, yeah. There's more ways to import and integrate data, of course, but that is like the hands-on way, basically that everyone can facilitate and go through. Straightforward and easy, based on like Office technology on Excel, basically. So pretty straightforward and easy to understand.
Okay, great. What can we do with the data now in the system? The second requirement was, can we replace existing sustainability reporting for the public report, but also for the employees? And as you can see, we have built a GRI 305 emissions report where you have scope 1 and scope 2 with the subcategories. You have it over the timeline. And basically, this is the starting point for sharing the data externally, but also internally. So what we also can do is we can add a breakout by the business units. So you can see now the emissions also for the business units themselves. So again, I can here break it out, but now I see it by the business unit, and I can see who are the biggest contributors. And we see fuel cells is a smaller one, but I think there are other ones that are much bigger. And so you get a relation how much each business unit is contributing. This is all based on the greenhouse gas protocol. So you can see from the emission sources that we have broken it down in scope 1, 2, 3, following the greenhouse gas protocol, which is in the Cloud for Sustainability. And our focus is now really on scope 2, meaning everything around energy. And again, here we call it activity data. We are loading activity data, for example, for electricity, where we really have the megawatt hours from the different utility providers. You can see it's broken down by the organizational structures, and it's going down even to the facility by date stamp and so forth, and then you have the real quantity. And what that allows us is that we now can go a step deeper and really understand scope 2 and what is driving scope 2. So first thing that we've customized is an energy report that is now benchmarking the sustainability data by the business groups. So you can see here we have brought the organizational units. You can see the scope 2 footprint, and then you see the energy that is driving the footprint. And as we already mentioned, there are two things that are influencing the CO2 equivalents. It's the overall energy consumption, and it's the renewable percentage. The higher the renewable percentage, the less the footprint will be. And so even as here the energy consumption is similar between powertrain and electronics, still the footprint is different. And this is actually the first time the customer now can really have a benchmark conversation, and all the business managers of the business groups can have a conversation. And in a meeting, they can even go deeper, and they can click through the different divisions, and they can also see what are the facilities driving here the footprint.
Amazing, Alex. Thanks for sharing. So I have one question in mind. How do we get from benchmarking, where you showed us, to performance management?
That's actually a really good question. And I think this is then the next use case that we needed to prove. This is good data to have, but how can you really start performance management? And the first thing is you need to define targets, like SBTi targets. And so the customer really has defined targets for all the divisions by year on the total energy that they want to consume, the percentage of the renewable energy, and the intensity. And with the target setting, basically we can start negotiating targets. That's very often where finance also come into play. You can start incentivizing business group manager, and then to provide the reporting required, we have built an energy tracking report that exactly gives you this overview. So what you can see on that report now is that we have not only the absolute numbers, but we have target numbers in there, and with the target numbers we can calculate if you are on track or not. So for example, the target was to have 25,000 megawatt energy consumed. So electronics hit the target, powertrain is still above, and vehicle manufacturing is very close. Similarly, you can see the renewable targets. Also, they are negotiable. So fuel cells is ahead. They have the target to reach 50% renewable. The others have the target of 25. So you can see you can also negotiate, depending also perhaps on the green levers that you can drive or not in your business division. And so you can see basically also that fuel cells hit the target, powertrain is close, and the other two is still missing. And of course, if you have questions, again, where is the data coming from or which kind of plants are driving these numbers, you still have to drill through. And this now really enables a conversation on performance management. And I think this is really a very good starting point. This is for the management, but to really drive transformation of the sustainability initiatives across the company, I think it's very, very important that data will be available and shared with all employees in the company so that everybody can understand where they stand and how they can contribute to reach the targets. Is there any kind of approach that you can share, Stefan, how we can democratize the data?
Yeah, excellent question, Alex. Of course, we thought about that actually, because you're right. It's key actually to bring it in front of our key stakeholders and users and integrate it sort of into the flow of work. And how we did that is actually we integrated it into Teams. You can see in the collaboration section, there's a link out to Teams. So let me just click here. So how do we do that actually? We've created a new team with a few channels that are reflecting the information demand of our stakeholder groups. Here in general, for example, you can see the emission report. So you can just click inline on the emission report and we'll get it rendered directly in your Teams. So what you also can do is you can add comments on what you see on the report. So like there's a little icon here that shows a tabbed conversation here. And then you can just add your comment here. Made progress, just as an example, share that with the broader audience. So there's another channel that we've created, the Energy V team, for example, which of course shows the energy report. And the same thing here is you have communication functionality. You can add comments and chat with the respective stakeholders.
This is great, Stefan. So that really means that we have only the information that is relevant to the right users, like only energy reporting for the Energy B team, and they can directly collaborate on that.
Exactly.
There is for sure another question. This is read only. Is it also possible, for example, for the more sensitive data for finance, that they can also write back data?
Of course, yeah, that's a great question. So you can see this finance channel here, which is a little lock icon, which is indicating that this is only available for a certain audience here. And what you can see here is the link to the targets table in our platform. So if you click that here, then you can directly enter data or update data in line of your Teams channel.
And if there's now a long list of targets and you're in controller, do I need to click through each of the items here?
Great question, Alex. The good thing is that Excel is integrated completely here. So you can go ahead and work with Excel online. And if you select that, for example, you can quickly add or modify a target value here. So if that's not right anymore, you can quickly change it and save it back to the system. And of course, it allows you to do everything that you can do in Excel here, and you can work quickly on a larger amount of data and save that back to the system.
So we hope you like the demo. If you would like to see more content, please subscribe our channel or leave us some comments what you would like to see.
If you're interested in the technical details, please have a look at our GitHub repository. And on top of that, I would like to encourage you to join our LinkedIn group as well. Normal.
Genau.
Jetzt muss ich mal kurz überlegen. Da war ich jetzt nämlich gar nicht drauf vorbereitet auf das hier.